The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
There is a lot going on with Iran and a lot of mixed messages. You hear one thing from the Iranian side, certainly on the U.S. side, they're saying maybe days away. Let's see. Well, who better than General Jack Keane, former vice chief of the Army, also four-star general retired, and also senior military strategist at Fox News, and also chairman of the Institute of the Study of War. I have all that memorized, Jack, because you know how much we love you. So what do you think is going to happen now? What needs to happen now?
Well, certainly we've turned to a different phase for sure. I mean, we went to a ceasefire some 6 weeks ago, and after 37 days of military operations, and in the hope that we would get the Straits of Hormuz open, and then we forced an economic blockade on them. So two things that we have done. The military operation was quite successful. It wasn't finished, but it was devastating in setting the Iranians back. And we had about 10 to 14 days to complete that operation. Then when they shut down the Straits, we imposed an economic blockade, which has robbed Iran of all revenue sources coming from oil distribution through the Gulf. That's a fact. And that is a considerable economic peril that they're facing as a result of it. We are now entering in a diplomatic phase. The president had a choice. We could have gone back to the kinetic operations and finished the next 10 to 14 days. I think he made a decision here. He has more information than we have, that's for sure. And he also discussed this with the Arab states. And from what we understand, they prefer to take this diplomatic approach as to going back to kinetic operations. So we're in a major diplomatic phase here, obviously, with phase one part of that to be a formal agreement, and would likely have something in writing with it. That's just a framework. It's not a final deal, but it's the framework that we establish so that both people are working in terms of good faith to accomplish a final deal. And it'll likely take some days to be able to sort out the language in that framework. And that's why you're getting different messages. On the one hand, we're talking about this is positive step, and the Iranians have given us some assurances. They're going to agree to a number of things that we really care about in terms of the long final deal. But getting just the framework settled is obviously producing some angst also with the Iranians. I think job one has got to be open the Straits of Hormuz. And I think the Iranians will likely do that. But here's the catch. They will want to maintain their authority over it. They declare it as territorial waters for themselves and Oman. Actually, the UAE has a piece of the Straits of Hormuz also. But international law indicates it's not territorial waters. Indeed, it's international waters with the freedom of navigation being applied there. So Iran has no legal basis to try to maintain some authority over it, even though they would remove transit fees or protection fees or whatever they want to call it. They still want to take sovereignty over it because they have never, ever taken control of the Straits of Hormuz in the past. They have tried. And this time they did take control of it, and they don't want to give it up. And we're going to have to make them give it up. What's the leverage to do that? The economic blockade and also a threat of reattack. So there's leverage there for that to happen. The second thing will likely be, and it's the most difficult, and that is the nuclear, all things nuclear enrichment, getting rid of the so-called nuclear dusters there, dismantling what other elements of the nuclear program are in a place called Pickaxe Mountain is one of them, and a couple of other sites, and then not letting them have any enrichment capability whatsoever, regardless of the percentages of it. Restriction on ballistic missiles and support for proxies. All of that will be tough. And what the administration has been given in talking to the Iranian negotiators, they've been giving us some assurances that maybe we can get there together. And I talked to one of our negotiators today on this very subject. So they feel that there is something there and there's a good reason to move forward.
And what do you think,
that will
though,
likely
Jack?
Take about 60 days.
Yeah, do you think, I guess my question, do you think that, A, we could even trust Iran? I mean, I have such a dubious, and I was watching you earlier, Jack. You had some really powerful statements, Jack Keane, where you said that Iran's all about recovery now, that it's still time to finish the job.
Yeah, there's two things I think what the Iranians are really up to here. Number one is they clearly want to survive, and certainly that is likely to happen. And that would have happened if we returned to military operations also. And military operations would have put them in a very sad shape in terms of economic collapse and with maybe on a pathway to a regime change. But negotiations, they will survive. But what they truly want to do is they want to be able to recover. And by that I mean they want unfrozen assets. And there's close to $100 billion in unfrozen assets. And they want sanction relief money. So the fact that we have control over a lot of it, Qatar has X billions of dollars of it control themselves, is huge leverage for us. Now, if the straits get open like I think they would, they're going to recover finances from that. Obviously, China is going to buy 90% of the oil that they've been buying, and the other exports, there also will be a revenue source for that. But they really want to recover rapidly, and they want those frozen assets. The president is not going to make the mistake that Obama did by giving them billions of dollars in cash up front. We're not going to do that. President Trump is not going to make a bad deal, and giving them any amount of financing to help them recover, and that extends the life of the regime, I don't believe is in the cards here. Certainly something down the road when their behavior changes may be appropriate, and we're able to verify and confirm everything that's in the deal, and they're actually performing and executing that. That's another matter. So, yeah, there are really issues there in terms of recovery, but we have the card to play because we have control over those additional finances that they want so badly. So, yeah, there's a lot of work ahead is what I'm talking here, Rita and John. This is a tough road here in terms of negotiations. The administration has some good feelings that there is real potential to get to a deal. Knowing the Iranians, they will string this out for as long as they can because they know the closer we get, let's say they go the whole 60 days or then some. That's towards the end of July. Then we're in a 90-day window of the midterm elections, and they would assume in their minds that the administration would not go back to kinetic operations, raise the price of oil again, create the kind of turmoil that closing down the straits would mean if we go back to kinetic operations. That's kind of what they're counting on. So this is a tough situation we're involved in here, but the backstop, in my mind, is our president. He's not going to make a bad deal here, but we've got a lot of work to do and rolling our sleeves up to get to the point where we want to end up with.
Yeah, no, great points. Very, very strong points. General Jack Keane, you're right. And the timetable, it is going to be a bumpy road.
It's day by day. And,
yeah.
Well, see, we don't need the oil. The Iranians need the oil. And the blockade is I guess, starving them or, they're stuck between the brick and the hard place.
Yep, and they want the funds.
They have no choice. They got to make a deal one way or another.
Right. The question is, will they be honorable in the deal? And that is obviously
never honorable.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, we can assume that the Iranians, no matter what they agree to in writing,
right,
we can assume that at some point they will try to reverse all of it. That is just who they really are. And they would be counting on another administration to be able to do that. An administration very different than the current one is what I'm talking about. And they've had experiences at this, obviously, when President Obama and Biden were in office. So, yes, they'll agree to a deal, but at some point they would want to reverse it.
Yeah.
They never would get it done under a Trump administration or to a similar administration that has the same view that President Trump has. But they would hope to get another administration that would kind of look the other way because they don't have the same objectives that we have. And listen, let's give President Trump a lot of credit. He's getting criticism quite a bit over moving away from attack operations to the diplomatic ones. And I preferred the option of continuing the military operation. But all that said and done here, he brought us to this point.
Right.
Epic fury has devastated Iran and put them back on their heels in a way that they never anticipated. And clearly, just initiating the combat operations with Israel, people want to forget this. The reason why it was done is because after the 12-day war was over, our intelligence sources, the Mossad and the CIA, came to the conclusion that the Iranians have recommitted themselves to all of their objectives. One, to recover their nuclear program. Two, right before our eyes, they were recovering a ballistic missile program in deeply buried tunnels that we would not be able to penetrate. And when we did the math on this, we realized that at the pace they were moving, assisted by China, they were accumulating ballistic missiles. Sufficient number of them would get to a point where it would overwhelm Israel's defenses in the region, assisted by us, as well as our allies and partners. And we could not have that happen. So President Trump made the second big decision with Iran to attack them once again, but this time more comprehensively, to further set back the nuclear program, focus on the ballistic missiles, and take that away from them, and also take all the other military capability away from them, which we have managed to do.
Yep, no doubt.
General, why Camp David tomorrow?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that, John. Say it again.
Why Camp David tomorrow
President
instead
Trump's
of the White
going
House?
there tomorrow, supposedly, and meeting with his team.
Yeah, I think they're going to bring the whole team together there, and I think they welcome the setting. Maybe it's a lot more comfortable. I don't know why David, but I don't think it. This team meets rather frequently. They met last week a couple of times, and they're meeting again. They may be bringing in some additional players. I'm not sure. But we know what the subject is. And it's negotiations going forward. What are our red lines? Let's go over it again. And what are our options? How are we going to leverage this regime? And we've got plenty of leverage. We got the economic blockade. We have their frozen assets. We have sanctions. And we have the ability to go back to military operations. And when would we apply that lever? So I think these issues are going to be talked out. You know, President Trump, the thing you got to admire about him, he takes advice, he listens, and he asks very good questions, and he actually takes advice at times from people who are not in that room, because he welcomes other people's thoughts, and I've always admired him about that. And so that's what's going on here.
Thank you, General, and we'll talk again real soon. And thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for everything you've done for our country and continue to do for our country.
Well, thank you. Well, more to follow here for sure.
Thank you.
Take care to both of you.